All right, folks, here are the notes for 1.5, which is titled Adding and Subtracting Real Numbers. So again, a lot of this will be hopefully very familiar. You can use your calculators, but I am going to remind you of the rules a little bit, just so that you have that reminder, and that way when you try to do things in your head, hopefully you're doing them correctly. So when I say adding and subtracting real numbers, that could be anything. This could be whole numbers, decimals, fractions, positives, negatives, all of that kind of stuff. Some of that I know we like to do mentally, some of it we probably won't. So for adding, we have two things. If the numbers have the same signs, if they're both positive, if they're both negative, I'm just going to put that we add normally. Okay, we just add both numbers together like we normally would, and then we just put that sign on the answer. So both positive means positive answer, both negative means that we'll have a negative answer as well when we're adding. If we have different signs, we will subtract. And this is sometimes where people can get into a little bit of trouble, especially if they have integers and they're subtracting integers. Some numbers may be positive, some negative. That's where we can make some mental math mistakes. So those, I think it's great to try to do them mentally, especially on the assignment, and then maybe double check them with your calculator if you're not sure. Okay, and then when we have subtraction, so anytime we have subtracting, and technically this works every single time no matter what, but obviously if we have two positive numbers, we just do good old subtraction like we know how to do. If we are subtracting positives and negatives, we do keep, change, opposites. Easily confused with keep, change, flip. Keep, change, opposite. We keep the first number the same, we change it to addition, and then we take the opposite of the second number, and then we can just use our addition rules from there. Okay, so what would that look like? Here's what I'm talking about. We might have some things on the assignment as simple as this. 9 plus -7. Some of you probably know what that is mentally, but here, different signs. The rule is for addition, if they have different signs, we would subtract. 9 minus 7 is 2. There's more positive than negative in the problem, so we know our answer is 2. Once we start throwing decimals in there like this, we have decimals and they're negatives. That can be a lot more difficult. It's probably maybe a better use of your time. Just grab your calculator and subtract those on there. Okay, but again, your choice. If you want to try to do that mentally or on your own and then check it, that's fine as well. But we would do keep, change, opposite for this. So just to remind you, keep, change, opposite. This would change to 4.5 plus 9.7, and that does equal 14.2. Okay, that's the rule for subtracting with integers. And then over here, number 3, we have some more subtracting. But this time we have fractions to make it a little bit more challenging. So keep, change, opposite. This would be -2/3 plus 5/7. And once we throw fractions in, then a lot of times it's easier to do that on your calculator. Now, if you have one of my calculators, the negative sign is actually, they're both. There is a negative sign or a negative symbol. Do not use the subtraction sign, because a lot of times if you try to do that, it's going to give you an error in your calculator, and it's not going to work. Okay, so if you're having trouble finding that, maybe talk to a friend if you're not sure. But again, it's down by the enter sign, or it's right next to the decimal point, usually on the calculators. Okay, so anyway, I grabbed a calculator, added these together, and I got +1/21 for that. +1/21. Okay, moving right along. Now, this is, I would not call this next part necessarily a new part, but still definitely something that people make mistakes in. So please pay close attention to this. So we are evaluating the expression. It says x equals -2 and y equals 4. We've done this obviously earlier this week, and you've done it in the past. So here's the part that really trips people up that I just circled. Okay, with a negative sign in front of the x and a negative sign in front of the y. Okay, here in the beginning of the year, really think of it like this. That negative sign, think of that as a -1x and a -1y. That's -1 times x, -1 times y. Okay, so think of that as we put these numbers in, because it's really, really easy to make a mistake on your sign because of these. So here's what it's going to look like when I plug in my numbers. I'm going to say -1, and then x is -2. So it's -1 times -2. -2 times 4 plus, and again, -1, and then y is 4. Okay, so always like to make sure, I like to put that -1 in front of the variable when I see that negative sign in front, just to remind myself that means -1 times that number. So when I do this, I would have to do all of my multiplication first. So -1 times -2 is 2. And then right here, we can think of that as -2 times 4 or -2 times 4, so that'd be -8. And then I have a -1 times +4, that gives me -4. So I have two choices. I can write plus -4, or for me, I think it's easier just to say -4. Okay, and then last we have 2 minus 8 minus 4. Again, obviously you can do all this stuff on your calculator, but 2 minus 8 is -6. And then -6 minus 4, if we're at -6 and we go back 4 more, we should be at -10 for our final answer there. Okay, and then last one, yes, last problem. 3x plus y to the second power minus x. Okay, so 3x, 3 times -2, plus y, which is 4 squared. Anytime I have a number or a variable that's has an exponent on it like that, and I'm putting a number in there for it, I always put the number in parentheses and put the exponent on the outside. Okay, just kind of good practice to do. Does it matter for this particular problem? No. If you don't put the parentheses on it, it'll still come out fine, but that can affect the answer if you don't do that every time, especially when those numbers would happen to be negative. Now, last part says minus x. Again, got to be very careful here. Minus, and then x is -2. Okay, so the only reason I put that -2 in parentheses, just in case you're not sure why, I only put that -2 in parentheses there at the end because I just don't want to get that negative and minus sign kind of messed up and then have trouble with that. Okay, so here's my problem. So first thing I'll do, we'll multiply, we'll do the exponent here, so that'll give me -6 plus 4 to the second is 16, minus -2. I'm going to kind of do a few things at once here. I'm going to do, well, no, I take that back. I'm not. Okay, so now we have all addition and subtraction. -6 plus 16 would be 10. And then 10 minus -2, I can do keep, change, opposite. So I like to be lazy and just do that when it's subtraction with some of these sometimes. So that'll give me just 10 plus 2, which is 12. So that should give me a final answer of +12. Again, calculator, I know I didn't use that a whole lot, just for a couple problems here at the top. Reminder, I suggest if you like to do mental math, great, try it, but have that calculator handy so you can check your answers, okay? All right, that is it. Go ahead and go work on the assignment. Good luck.